evolution. No birds are born or hatched with teeth. Assist in breaking down and creating vegetative plant material that they are eating. And they are being hunted by lions, leopards, and cheetah alike. And it sounds as if James this morning has managed to catch up with some lions.
Yes, not by me, but by these lions over here, although at the moment, of course, the Salt Lick Pride, which is what we're looking at now, is not so much looking for bird, and there are a lot of them there, and a lot of zebra, and a lot of Thompsons. My name is James Hendry. On camera today, we've got Jean Drey. Probably, when I initially saw them, I thought they were about 8 weeks. This is watching the smorgasbord in front of her. She can't believe how much food. It really is just quite fantastic to see the amount of food that she has here. It's a little bit like going to an enormous, I suppose, hotel buffet breakfast where there's so much to eat you really don't know what to choose, and I'm sure that's how they feel. Please do ask us any questions you'd like to. We'd love to hear from you during the course of this show. You can do that on Twitter using the hashtag CGTNWild or the hashtag WildWonderland. Comments, we'll be happy to answer anything you might want series or about Africa in general, this conservation in general, especially in this pride towards her. So we'll wait and see what happens while you go across to David and the happy zebras.
Well, the hyenas, we got those adults in the grass, and I'm trying to imagine maybe that could be one of the females. Now, for the hyenas, it's normally very difficult to tell males from females, even if you see them out walking, because you have seen that look like females, females that may look like males, but in here, and this particular group of clan of hyenas have anything 30 to 40 hyenas. They move in big groups. For that reason, that's why they could be staying exactly where they are. Now, we got a lot of success when you look at the predators of Africa. I have always thought that hyenas are more successful than the other predators when it comes to hunting.
The spotted hyena is maligned as a thieving scavenger. These massively intelligent predators are misunderstood. They are cunning, cooperative opportunists and hunters. Their tactics clever, yet brutal. And low-risk strategy. Once the prey is selected, there is no mercy from the cohesive clan.
What an epic start to our in the Greater Kruger. Having learned about hunting strategies, well, on foot. This is an awesome experience. Good morning, my name is Jamie, and behind the camera is Craig. We also have the fantastic Herbie to thank for his amazing animal skills in getting us into the right. Have seen us, but they are comfortable with us. The extraordinary thing about big cats, it's important when you're in a position like this. They've got such good hearing eyesight that if you do encounter, try to hide away. There's a third one coming. She's stopped. She's realized that we're here. So you don't try to hide away where lions are concerned. You also don't overstay your welcome when you lions very well. We see them regularly, and we know that they are slightly more skittish when encountered on foot, and they tend to actually run away, which is the last thing that we want. So because we work together as a team, what we're going to do because while it is easy foot, it is always better to see them from a vehicle. All right. So big cats as well, but in a completely different environment.
We are and they're entering the smorgasbord of the it out that being close to water is a really killer strategy for play. All of the animals that you can see in the background there must drink, and so they must either go to the rivers or they'll come to water holes like we're sitting at here. Often the strategy of the predators to hang past here at some time today. Lev, that's a very interesting question. Do lions drool when they watch the herds? No, they don't. I've never seen them salivate when looking at potential meals. I've seen them salivate or in a territorial battle of some description. That's a tourist vehicle going past, everyone. That's how this place maintains itself through very valuable tourist revenue. She's calling. She's just calling the rest of the pride, I think. I think she wants them to come and sit with her on the African locations. We're the northerly-most location, of course. This is the Tristan's in the Serengeti, just south of those hills that you can see there. And then way down south, Jamie is sitting on foot, brave lass as she is, with lions. Now you can see this is a mixed herd. Here, mostly wildebeest, of course, and then the now that are not supposed to be part of the migration scene. They are resident here around, But I have noticed a vast increase in their numbers over the last few days or so. So I think that maybe some micro movements of big topi heads. About that, we didn't see him coming. Let's go and have a close look at topi now with Steve, who's north of us.
Indeed, James, and this is one of those sort of characteristic scenes that you see in the Serengeti system, with a topi male standing on top of a termite mound, showing everybody how and that define a territory to topi are very visually orientated, and it's all about size. Male wildebeest will stand as well like that and show each other how big they are to try and avoid confrontation. Many animals will do things to avoid confrontation. Who want to come into the area to fight or challenge will brave the area, but the topis don't call. Be proud, and if someone thinks they are big enough and challenge this male, well, he must come right along. But by standing tall like this, he saves a lot of energy because he avoids you can see, taking a bit of time. He's noticed there's no other topi in the area. A bit of time to have a little snack. Vigilant lion, Jamie Patterson on foot. Absolutely most amazing with big animals in the wilderness.
We have had an amazing week. We've walked elephant, we've walked leopard, and now we've completed the collection with lions on foot right next to a water. In front of one of the lodges, this is where people can come on safari, so if you see any sign of that, that's why. We've only got the view of one now. Going to follow them now. I've only seen 3 lionesses. There should in fact be 8.
Been the lions that have caused it, and so I suspect that maybe there's just some or other reason. Maybe there was some food or something that others wanted to go see. Wildebeest tracking their movements is very tricky because there's no rhyme or reason to where they go or why they do it. Generally, obviously, rain is a huge sort of pull for them, but at this stage there's not been any rain in this area overnight, and so it wouldn't be that causes a split in the herd, but maybe there was just some sort of thing there that they didn't like, maybe a little jackal running around or something like that. Now, James, in terms of territory sizes for lion prides in the Serengeti, do they differ from those in the Mara and the Sabi Sands? It's interesting because obviously we're in a very small section of Serengeti. Is a massive ecosystem that spans over 14,000 square kilometers, and in that ecosystem is various terrains and habitats, but up here in this northern sector, it seems as though while there are a lot of lions, we don't actually see that many, not as many as what we've been seeing in the Masai Mara, and so the territories seem to be quite large, particularly around the river area, which is very interesting, is that it seems as though there's not a huge density along the river, but as you start to move back up into these open plains, so you start to see them here, and then around those rocky outcrops, there's a few different prides that are there. So the pride's sort of territory sizes, I think, is more indicative of the terrain and where exactly the lions are, but they don't seem abnormally large or abnormally small, so very much similar to what we would probably see in South Africa, more kind of transient.
Well, very true. And if we have animals that help us here in Africa to lead us to predators like lions or cheetahs or leopards, are the giraffes. Did you hear me, giraffe? I think so. He must have heard me. And he is maybe saying, can you say that again? And this is the Masaai giraffe. We got 4 different species of giraffes in Africa. The Masaai giraffes are found both in the Serengeti National Park, where Tanzania is, and in the Masai Mara too, and many other parts of East Africa. And that's a big, huge boy. You can tell, no doubt, it's a male. Quite majestic. Remember, we are watching CGTN World Wonderland Show. And we're coming to you live from the Masai Mara. And should you have any questions or comments, please send them through using hashtags CGTNWorld or hashtag Wild Wonderland. Look at how huge he is in comparison to the bush in the background there. And giraffes will live in herds. As much as he is alone now, he could be going to join a herd. But not once in a while. We always get males on their own, and females will be together with their young ones. Hello there. And giraffe being ruminants, you can tell he is chewing some cud. Well, I left my hyenas. I'm also going to leave this giraffe and go look for some other animals. But in the meantime, I think James is on the other side of the Mara and got lions hiding in the grass.
We've moved very slightly to get a better view of this little cub. Now, this cub is not, in fact, one of the very young ones in the pride. This one is probably about 4 or 5 months old. I made a mistake seeing them, just the ears in the grass there. I thought it was smaller than that. It's one of the older cubs. There seem to be 2 litters in this pride, the Salt Lick pride, and quite interestingly, you saw the male yesterday. He comes from a different area, and I don't think that he has fathered these cubs. He's quite young, but I think it was his coalition partner, Kipuli, oh, so sweet, who fathered these little things here. And that's probably why he is, the male here at the moment, is not very patient with these cubs. Oh, but they are just the cutest things in the world. Oh, that's beautiful. And you can see how perfectly colored they are for this environment. That tawny color is ideal. Now, well, the prides protect the cubs during the migration the same way that they protect them any other time. They make sure that they are in cover when they go off hunting. And then the cubs tend to stay still. Whenever the lionesses are away, they'll stay hiding, unless it's in an area that they know very well, like this pan. And when the lionesses are away, you'll sometimes find the cubs playing around here, but they know little places they can go to be hidden, and then they'll stay still and hidden. When they go to kills, it's very safe. When they're traveling with the adults, it's very safe, because very few animals will take on a pride of lions. A massive clan of hyenas, maybe, and certainly hyenas do pose a danger to little cubs. But you'll find that when they're with the adults, there are no dangers at all. This one has been lying in the mud. not very clean, hasn't had its bath. You're just coming to say hello, are you? Isn't that special? Hi. Good morning. Let's just wait and see where he goes, because he might, it's a she, not a he, she might show us where the rest of the cubs are. See how she disappears so easily into the grass? Wonderful. Something that doesn't disappear easily into the grass, of course, are the great migration herds. They can't hide from anything.
Indeed, we are with the migration herds. Well, a little small portion of the migration. That's the scary thing when you see these long lines of wildebeest and you realize that that is not even the wildebeest in its entirety. It's quite amazing. But we are a little bit closer to where they are now. They're still milling about at the moment. They haven't really moved too much. And so what we've done is we thought we'd just come and sit with them down here and see if they start moving up towards the lions, and maybe we'll get lucky and the lions will wake up a little bit later. But for those of you who just joined us, my name is Tristan, and it is a very, very warm welcome to Tanzania. Tanzania is looking absolutely beautiful this morning. We've got beautiful green grass, nice blue skies, and lots of wildebeest, which is absolutely wonderful for our day. Now, to the right of the wildebeest at the moment, there's actually some warthogs that are also in amongst this. It's the thing about the migration is that there's so much focus on the wildebeest, but there's actually so many things that move around within the herds. And it's a clever thing to do, because if you want security, then it's a good idea to have millions of eyes that are around and that can spot things like lions and cheetah and all the other things that are out here. And so these warthogs grazing in amongst the wildebeest is a pretty clever idea. It makes it much easier for them to feel a lot safer, because if those lions were to get up, obviously the wildebeest would spot them and cause that alarm call to happen, and you'd find that these warthogs would then be able to get away. And funny enough, when the migration herds are not in this area, the lions will hunt these warthogs a lot. In fact, it becomes one of their favorite prey items, particularly for the small prides. They'll go after a lot of warthogs when the grass gets long. It's much easier for them to be able to get quite close, and the warthogs don't know that they're there. So it's an important food source for them when the herds are not here. But isn't that just magnificent to see them all just wading through this grass? And you'll find that this long grass like this, in about a week's time, if the herds really spend a lot of time here, will be completely done. Right, now it sounds like there's something exciting happening in South Africa, so let's quickly send you down to Trish.
Good morning, everyone. This is so exciting. Now, there you see an Nkuhuma lioness, and the Nkuhumas are the pride that we have here on Juma in the Kruger area of South Africa. That's where we are right now. And there's buffalo right here drinking. My name is Trishana with Seb on camera, and there's so much happening. All I want to do is show you. Now, lions do hunt buffalo, and Nkuhumas especially. They love a good buffalo. So let's have a look how this unfolds. Oh, just excuse our antenna and aerial there. The buffalo are getting very, very annoyed with these two lionesses that are about. And we don't want to move it too much. We don't want to disturb whatever would happen. Look at that. Look at that. These are huge animals. And you can see they've got some youngsters amongst the herd as well. And they want to protect them as best that they can. And they've actually managed to chase these two lionesses off, but the lionesses know that these buffalo are around, and I think it'll only be a matter of time before they come back with a better plan. Yeah, these buffalo are having a drink. You can see how much dust they've kicked up. Look at this. Bamford, you'd like to know how old the lioness in the bush is? That lioness looked like one. Oh, there she is again. Oh, but we can hardly see her. They're chasing her. Oh my goodness.
This is amazing. I'm just wanting to see what will happen. I'll get to your question in a bit, Manfred. I promise. It's just such an exciting thing to see these buffalo chase. I'm surprised they're not more nervous. I'm just trying to keep an eye out for where those lionesses are. And in fact, there's two male lions around as well. They're not far from here, so it's only a matter of time until they come along as well. Like I said, there's a few youngsters here, and we don't want to. Oh gosh, what could happen? They're still staring there. Nancy, you say that that's so close? It certainly was close. Now, getting back to the ages of these lions, they're quite a variety. Some of them, like the ridge-nosed lioness, was born in 2012. And I'm not sure who we had amongst the bushes. There was one of the older lionesses as well. And she was born in about 2008, 2009. I'm speaking, of course, of the oldest female, and that oldest female has died. So you're looking at about 2012. Listen to them. My goodness. So they're very close by, and little do these buffalo know that the males are close by too. And often they will need the males to help them get that takedown for a huge animal like this. But they are very apt hunters. They're amazing at taking down prey. And it hasn't just been now, but in the past, they've been excellent at it too. So let's learn a little bit about them.
There is a powerful, tawny presence in the woodlands of Djuma. The Nkuhuma pride. 4 magnificent lionesses striking terror into predator and prey alike. Together, they nurture the next generation, expanding the pride and so too its strength. The lionesses have done a superb job, guiding the young from playful fluffballs to contributing adults. But the wilderness is harsh, and the Nkuhumas have had to weather many storms. Drought, disease, death, injury. And male coalition takeovers. For 2 years, the pride lived under the protection of the 3 Birmingham boys. But they went missing to the south, and their absence was noted. The 3 young Avoca males took over the north. The Nkuhuma lionesses weathered that storm too, have mated with the Avocas, and a new bloodline has begun.
We've just found ourselves in quite a difficult position. We have moved away from the lions. We've now looped around towards a herd of buffalo, but there are some that have run down into a drainage line or a river system to the right of us. So I'm just listening very carefully. The lions are probably about 150 meters or so or 200 meters or so in that direction. And what we don't want to find ourselves in is a situation where the lions chase the buffalo straight into us. That would be incredibly inconvenient for all concerned, because a buffalo with a lion next to it is a very difficult animal to stop. Now, there's only 3 lionesses at that waterhole, but there are 2 male lions not far away from where Trishala is, When they hear this, they are going to come in. I can almost guarantee it, which means that at some point these lions are going to actually properly start hunting the buffalo. And it's a very different hunt. There's some more buffalo over there. It's a very different hunt to something like, for example, an antelope or a zebra. Rather than relying on the element of surprise, the lions try to create panic within the buffalo herd. If the buffalo herd can stay strong and keep a sort of united front, then the lions won't succeed. But if they panic and bolt, that's when the lions come into their own. Now, all around us, I can hear buffalo lowing. And at the moment, all that we really have, I mean, the last few times I've shown you buffalo while we've been on foot, we've been on a termite mound. All that we really have is a valley. So we're going to go and find ourselves a slightly more secure spot. While we do, let us hope that Steve is in a nicer, secure spot in the Masaai Mara and perhaps has something exciting to tell you.
Yes, well, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. We had lioness with two, looks like 3-4-month-old cubs on top of a termite mound, busy scanning. My name is Steve, joined once again by James on camera. And obviously, as soon as you came to us, she's gone down the mound. So we're going to come around the corner here and see if maybe we can get to see her. Not sure exactly who she is. Could be from the Olololo pride. And Olololo is named on mountain range behind us, which is basically translated as snake or serpentine. And there you go, you can see her. Now, she used the termite mound just like the topi did before. So there was a cub just behind her there, just to get some vantage of the grass here, because you can see the grass is really, really long. It's very helpful for her to stalk and get close to any potential prey, but it also makes it difficult to see where the prey might be. So lions and cheetahs will often do that, leopards as well out in the Mara system. But look how long that grass is. A leopard would be very hard to spot here. But she does definitely look like she's hungry. We were looking in the area she's in now earlier. We found some tracks, but we don't really do too much tracking in the Mara. So she's going to look for some food, her cubs following closely behind. If only the migration were nearby, she'd probably have a much easier time at catching something to eat.
Those lions up north are going to be very, very happy when all of the herds arrive there, and they will do that probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we think. Maybe, if we're really lucky, in the next 5 or so days. You are watching CGTN's Wild Wonderland live show, and it's wonderful to have you here with us. We're in amongst the herds of the great wildebeest migration, and you can see there's a huge amount of carnival activity going on over there. My name is James Hendry. On camera we have got Jean-Ray Gerden of Cape Town, South Africa. And the other thing I wanted to say, while we're looking at this rather spectacular scene, is that it's really nice that you're seeing the difference between this and the Kruger. Western Kruger, of course, really is struggling to shake off a long-term drought, and that means that at this time of the year animals are concentrating around water, and you can see how dry it is in comparison with this verdant paradise that these animals find themselves in. And that, of course, is because we are almost on the equator. The weather here is very, very similar year-round. We do have kind of a rainy season and kind of a dryish season, but it's nothing like down in the Kruger, where you have the extreme dry of the winter and then sometimes the extreme wet of the summer, if you're lucky. Here, it's pretty consistent, and also the rainfall in total here is probably almost double what it is there in the Kruger. The animals here really enjoy that, of course. The other major difference is the soil. The soil here is relatively recently volcanically active, which makes it much more fertile, whereas the ones down in Kruger, where you're going to go now, are much more ancient. There's been eons since the last volcanic activity. Let's go back there now to Trish and the buffalo.
Now, my buffalo are still looking a little bit nervous, but they're starting to relax or sort of be lulled into a sort of false sense of security here. And it almost seemed as if those lionesses were sort of leading them into that false sense of security, because they were very open. They didn't even attempt to kind of hide away. So I wonder, as Jamie mentioned, those two males are close by. Maybe this is their strategy, and they are big time planners and strategizers, and that's how they can be successful, especially when it comes to buffalo hunt. These are large animals. The last thing they want is a horn through them, which could basically spell death for any lion that's in the wrong place at the wrong time. So what they're going to try to do is isolate one or two animals, possibly a calf, maybe an adult, or maybe two of them, and that's when they will make their move. Let's listen to them. Ravinda, you say there's so many? There certainly is. In fact, as far as I can see, but I am on a sort of a high area, but that whole area is covered by buffalo. And there are so many. Now you could hear the water swooshing as they drink and move about in the water. You can also hear them bellowing, and you can hear the chip, 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 chip of the red-billed oxpeckers, even yellow-billed oxpeckers that are sitting on them. Now these birds will often sit on them, and then they'll clean up any parasites that are bothering the buffalo. I can only imagine what will unfold here, because those lions are so close. I'm gonna sit tight right here, but let me send you up to East Africa with Tristan, and we'll see how he's doing.
You can see how much easier our lions have it in terms of the fact that they not only have a number of other animals to hunt, but also the grass being as long as it is at the moment really does camouflage them very well when they're in the longer grass. You can see in the shorter grass, much easier to see the male, but the female blends in incredibly well. And so for hunting purposes, it's why the lions like to use these longer grass areas. They can really blend in, and they can get much closer to the wildebeest. And especially with wildebeest, they've got to be very careful, because if they get too close and spook these herds just run for kilometers and don't stop, and the lions will then lose their chance. So they need to make sure that they get into the longer grass sections to stay nice and low, and that makes life a lot easier for them. And you can see that female, she really does blend when she's low down, but as soon as she lifts her head and those black ear patches on the back are visible, it's much easier to see them. Now, we've seen in South Africa that there's two male lions that Jamie was talking about close to those buffalo, and here we have two male lions, and it's very, very important for males to form coalitions if they are to secure a decent territory.
Most cats, as your tabby will tell you, are solitary. The African lion is an exception. A pride consists of lionesses and their cubs. Their obvious affection is both amusing and heartwarming. Unlike the Lion King would have you believe, male lions are not part of the pride. They live in coalitions. Males are not intimately involved in the raising of their cubs. Their role is to protect them, often indirectly. Young males leave home at adolescence. Brothers and cousins roam the wild like unruly teenagers. At around 5 years old, these marauding males will invade a territory, looking for a pride of their own. This is where things become nasty. The new coalition will kill all cubs under a year old. It's appalling to watch, but serves a purpose for the new dominance. The bereft mothers will come into estrus, and the new bosses will then further their own genetic legacy. But once territory is secure, lions can relax with their prides. They prefer not to be bothered by cubs, and are not known for their affection to the babies. But once in a while, males overcome their belligerent grumpiness. There is little more delightful than watching tolerant, caring, and accepting lion fathers.
You are back with us on the CGTN Wild Wonderland live show, where this lioness is moving around. She has spotted 2 warthogs, and she is using the cover to try and find or get behind them. There's 2 of them there busy grazing. We're not going to we're going to actually focus on her because she's coming around on the front here using all the cover we were talking about before. There she is. Her cubs were following her a moment ago, but we're going to just try and focus on her. Bear in mind, everybody, this is a lion doing its work. Look how it's leopard crawling, very low on the ground, just the shoulder blades moving. It's come around, the wind is blowing in its favor. Lions utilize the wind to get closer to animals. Obviously, the wind blowing can give away their scent. And many animals have got very good, keen sense of hearing and sense of smell, so as to detect the presence or approach of a predator. And she's being very patient, and her 2 cubs that have disappeared in the long grass have been watching her. These are very important life lessons. Not only do young lions eventually become big adult males and need to defend and fight for coalitions and territory, they need to learn how to hunt. That is one of the first stages before you can demarcate a territory. You need to be able to do what this lioness is doing right now. And she's about maybe 35, 40 meters from these warthog. She's being very patient. There they are. Now, bear in mind, everybody, this is live, and this can sometimes be quite dramatic. Warthogs, as well as many other animals, lions catch them, they kill them, and there can quite often be a lot of blood and a lot of noise. So if you are a sensitive viewer and you don't like that sort of thing, maybe look away when she gets a bit closer. But the warthogs have turned their back. Look how she's disappeared in the long grass there. She's utilizing what seems to be almost no cover at all. And the wind is still in her favor. And just see the grass blowing gently from left to right. Warthogs are grazing on that short grass. I can't see her. James is going to stay on the warthogs, or there we go, like a wide like that. And well, she's probably going to see if they come a bit closer. Just going to use my binoculars to see if I can see her. Incredible, isn't it, everybody? How easily that lioness can disappear in the long grass. That is what they've evolved to do. Utilize the long grass to get as close as possible. Lions and leopards like to try get within sort of a 15 to 20 yard distance from animals before launching a very, very fast attack over a short distance. Any further than that, and the animals are generally a little bit out of reach. I can't see her, and we still got sight of the warthogs. Now you can imagine walking through this long grass like Jamie's been doing. How would you see the lions there? You need to be very vigilant and very alert. Warthogs in this area make up a huge proportion of the animals or the lion's diet in the off-season out of the migration. Buffalo as well as giraffe and some topi. But the warthog, definitely, they're on the menu for everybody. Cheetah, lion, leopard. There we go, that warthog's walking back towards where she's probably flat in the grass. I hope you're all on the edge of your seat like I am. That warthog is walking directly towards where we last saw her. Watch very closely for a flash of tawny in the long grass. Watching. The one warthog knows something is on. Okay, she is gone a little bit. She's coming from the back, everybody. There she comes. She's chasing them towards the cubs. She's chasing them right towards the cubs. She's going to put on her speed now. Warthogs, unfortunately, are a little bit too quick for a lioness. They knew something was up. They just somehow had that sense. They had that feeling that something was going on. And they got a bit uneasy and they ran in the right direction. Well done, warthogs. That was very, very cool. So everybody, lions, as much as they are supreme predators, they are more unsuccessful than they are successful. They reckon only about 20% of the time. Scara, oh my, indeed. Well, she looks a bit disappointed, but that is what happens of being a lion. And here come the cubs to say, well done, Mum, that was a good effort. That was a good effort. We're proud of you nonetheless. Oh, how gorgeous is that? Now, those are important lessons for the cubs to learn where they could have maybe improved. They watched Mum throughout the entire process. Sorry, you might hear an aeroplane. There are some visitors to the Mara flying in from Nairobi, I'm sure. But that's why prides of lions have evolved. They are much more successful in a pride because the one lioness, there they go, the warthog's off in the background. One lioness can spring the trap and others can be lying up in wait in ambush. And quite often they can chase their food into them. Okay, well, it sounds like lions are on the cards this morning. Trishala is watching some lions trying to ambush buffalo.
The lions were on the prowl, but now they've flopped down. Now the buffalo are very, very close, so we're hoping that perhaps they sense that they're around. We actually realize that you can't hear them very well from where they are, even though they're fairly close, but just the landscape doesn't allow for them to actually be able to hear them very, very well. But hopefully they will get up and they will get a meal. That is the most important thing. Now the lionesses may still be around, and even though they're not moving right now, they certainly can. Now remember, this is all happening live, which is why it's so exciting. But these two males have flopped down. There's another male hidden amongst the bushes. And it's only a matter of time. Patience is the key word here in the bush. The more patient you are, the more successful you are. So perhaps these males are just letting us know that they know the buffalo are there, and that they will at some point move off and get a meal for themselves and the pride, the Inkahumas, that we learned more about. How exciting. Well, hopefully this afternoon when we see you again at 4 p.m. Central African time, we will have a successful hunt on our hands. All so exciting for your very own CGT and Wild Wonderland show that is live. Well, thank you for your questions and your comments, and we look forward to taking you on board later this afternoon.